wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody know the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in there, fork it up. Make country produce in there, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who talking up me country. Riding on me donkey, transportation bliss. Me fireside bubbling a goodie. I hear rioting in the gas crisis. Surrounded by wild animals. What a vicious pack. But none of them does launch an attack. None of them poison us like invert and sap. The hunt always on, I could say that much. And true, can switch it off like crime watch. My mission now is to put a stop to whosoever fucking me country up. Some say a man named Eric, George, Robbie and Patrick. Some say Capildeo, Fadis, Kamla Basteo. Old man Bedu said they said nothing new. They fucking up long before 1962. If Butler was around, he might have tell we directly who fucking up me country.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rebuttal once again. I know you are all at home if you are in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis because a storm is passing. And I figure that you would be at home, and it means that if you're home, a lot more of you are tuned in to the Rebuttal this evening. If you're in the diaspora, I know you're also tuned in because I get messages all the time about persons overseas who can't wait for Wednesdays to tune in to the Rebuttal. I'm glad that you are with me this evening. I'm always pleased that you could share in the discussion. And when I say discussion, I mean that I'm presenting, but I know that you are having a discussion with your friends and family about what I'm talking about. So yes, it's a discussion. I want to say hi to all of you who consistently send messages to me to indicate that you are listening and that you enjoy what we talk about week in and week out. This evening, there are probably 3 or 4 things that I want to talk about. And the first, of course, has to do with the situation in Cayon, the water situation. This is a vexing issue. It's a vexing issue not so much because we have the problem, but it's a vexing issue because no one seems willing to talk about the problem. And when I say no one, I mean the people that sit in the seats of power. You can't see, you can't hear your parliamentary representative. You can't see, you can't hear the minister with responsibility for water. It's as if they don't know how to come to you. It's as if they don't know how to address the matter. And so rather than come, they stay away. Well, you see, even though I believe that the people in Keyon made a mistake to vote for Eugene, because we argue, oh, the matter is in court. Yes, the matter is in court. But still more than 1,000 people in Keyon voted for Eugene. And most, if not all of those persons, prior to the election, complained vociferously about Eugene and his lack of performance. Yet they voted for Eugene. And so what is happening to them now is not a surprise. They know so he be. They know he ain't gonna perform. But for heaven's sake, man, somebody has to come to the rescue of the people of Keyon. I am not suffering alongside you, but you're still my people. And so when you suffer, I feel the pain myself. Notwithstanding that we don't see eye to eye from a political standpoint, you're still my people. I lived my first 22 years of my life in Keyon. So it's Keyon raised me. Now, what I'm going to do, you see, because I don't like to see people floundering as if they don't know what is what. And so I'm going to do something this evening that would allow you, the people in the community, if you wish, to undertake a discussion, to undertake a problem-solving effort that could inform the powers that be, or at the very least, give you peace of mind. I'm going to show you how you address this matter in a simple, simplistic way. You need to start off by knowing what the situation is. Because everybody seems to think they know what obtains. The problem is because of this. The problem is because of that. The problem is because of something else. Well, you need to zero in, and you need to have facts. And you don't have the facts. And so you need to find out the facts. And if it means that you have to walk up to the water department and collect the data, you need to be armed with that data so that you in turn can help with providing the solution. So here's what. What do we know? We know the basics. We know that in Keyon, we have 2 reservoirs. We also know that we have a couple of wells in and around Keyon. We know that we have 1 surface source up Green Hill. We also know that Keyon has grown over the years because of the number of houses that were put in under the Labour administration. This joker only put in about 15 houses. All right? But Keyon has grown. There are now more households, which means the demand is greater. Now, what do we need to know? We know what we know. That's what I just told you. But there are some things that we need to know. 1, we need to know the water usage in all of Keyon. What is the need? In other words, what's the demand? Right? How much water do we need? Well, once you know that, you also need to know what is the available supply. So if you use 10 gallons of water in all of Keyon, you need to know what is the available supply. If the available supply is 5 gallons, right? then we're going to know what the need is. The need is an additional 5 gallons. So we need to know what our water usage is. We need to know what the available supply is. We won't need to know what the need is, right? We need to know also the storage capacity of the reservoir. Now, all this information is available or should be available at the water department. So I'm telling you to take note and go out and find it. So we need to know what the storage capacity of the reservoirs are, right? We also need to know what the rate of supply is from the available wells that surface or that supply Keon, the Keon community. What's the rate of supply from these wells, right? We need to know, right, the time taken to empty one reservoir. We need to know how many households would one reservoir supply in Keon. And then we have 2 reservoirs. So once you know one, apparently know the other one. I think they're about the same storage capacity. We need to know if we have all the equipment we need, like pumps, etc., to make things happen in Keon. Are the equipment adequate? In other words, are they of the right size? Can they pump the required amount of water? We need to know what the peak water usage is in Keon. And we need to know what the basement usage is. We need to know if we are going to turn off the water, what would be the best times to turn off the water. We need to know if water can be brought in from other areas to Keon. Can you divert water from one other place or 2 other places to help out the situation in Keon? You need to know that. Of course, without adversely affecting where you're diverting it from. All right? We need to know if the Keon source still supplies St. Peter's and how much of the water is diverted to St. Peter's. Because if we are going to share, we need to come up with a better formula that ensures that neither community is hurt. That formula would be one that says, hey, St. Peter's is taken care of, Keon is taken care of. That's what we have to be about, looking out to ensure that all of the communities in St. Kitts have an adequate supply of water. All right? We need to know, therefore, how many days supply do we have in the reservoirs, so that you could also calculate how quickly a reservoir would empty and how quickly it needs to be refilled. All right? Guys, I have to take a break now because I have to get some information for something I need to do later in the program. So sorry for the abruptness. I'm going to be right back.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment would spread the word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% black. It's the Carl D. Springgate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave. Genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
Ready or not, hear my clothes, head high. Gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis.
And I'm Dijon Webb.
Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
From local
Check the area code, the area code. Anywhere me go, you know me touch the
to international.
Ay, I go shopping, want it then I cop it. Ay, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
and have you informed with a range of topics.
tell me nothing.
So on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
Tell me nothing.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
Ready or not, hear my clothes.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle, and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep fucking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, fuck it up. Make country producing it, fuck it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who fucking up me country.
So, welcome back to the rebuttal. I'm sorry that I had to cut off as abruptly as I did, but I had to take a call because I was expecting some information that I needed to use in this program. So I had to find a way to cut the program presentation, and sorry it was as abrupt as it was. Now let's get back to the discussion at hand. What we just looked at is what you know and what you need to know, right? So I want you to do that exercise. Write down what you know about the water situation and write down what you want to know or need to know, right? I've given you some, so you add yours to mine, and you would then have a full situation analysis, or you would have a full idea of the situation, right, which you need to understand what's happening in Keon and how to propose a fix. All right? Now, I believe that one of the weaknesses we have in St. Kitts and Nevis and in the rest of the Caribbean is that persons working in cabinet and some persons working in ministries believe that they know it all, and so we don't have a community aspect, or we don't have a way to gather the input of the community to help solve problems which we encounter and which we are trying to fix. You know, I remember a couple of years ago when we were fixing the Keon Health Center. It was after a storm. The storm had taken off a part of the roof. And so I was then the health planner. And I was on the roof looking around. And somebody shouted to me. He said, "Hey, the health center too small." And out of reflex, I said, "No, it ain't." And immediately I knew I was wrong. So I came off the roof and I came down and I went in and I asked the nurse. It was Sister O'Brien then, O'Brien, France. And I said, "Nurse, have you ever heard anyone complain that the health center is too small and inadequate?" She said, "Sure." She said, "When we have child health clinics and so forth, people got to be all out on the veranda. There is no space to house them and so forth and so forth and so forth." So I said, "Oh, okay." So my next move was to go to Public Works and invite, it was Dellon James at the time, the late Dellon James, invite him over to Keon, and I sat him down with Nurse O'Brien and her staff, and I said, "Okay, guys, do me a favor. Redesign the health center. Make it what you would like to work in, and make it what you would like the people to enjoy," right? There was another step that we could have used. We could have gone out into the community and asked them what they wanted, but we didn't do that. But we used the staff who were there every day, who heard what people had been saying about the facility. And so we went and we designed the health center. Dellon brought the papers back to Keon, asked them if that's what they wanted. They made a few changes. And so what was built there was what the staff at a minimum wanted. That is something we have to do more of, because I used that same approach in the design of the new Joseph and France Hospital. We made sure that at a minimum, the people who worked there, right, had an input. And so I put Dr. Patrick Martin in charge of eliciting the input from the staff. They had their internal discussions, and then the designers were brought in and they informed the designers of the type of hospital they would like to work in. All right? We need to do more of that. We need to include the community in solving the problems. And that is something that I'm suggesting to you right now, because to learn how to do it takes you about 5-6 minutes. All right? But it is important, because the input you get from the people, the common man, the input you get from guys on the street, guys on the corner, is a lot of times 10 times better than you get from some technocrats. Me ain't asking you. I'm telling you. I've observed it. I've experienced it. All right? So, let us continue. The next thing then we need to do is we need to articulate the problem. And when we do that, we will write the problem, or what we call the issue, in the form of a question. So here is a question that we could ask, because this is what we want to solve. How can the water department ensure an adequate supply of potable water to the Keon community to meet the satisfaction of its citizens, or to meet the needs of its citizens? The next step you take, which is affiliated with that question, is to determine what your goal is. And your goal is simply to provide the Keon community with an adequate and consistent supply of potable water 24/7. That's your goal, right? Now, if we knew the data we could have inserted the data in that goal to make it more specific. All right? So if we know the statistics about the demands, etc., we could have put that in the goal and make it more specific. So to supply the Keon community with X gallon of water, right, 24/7, is likely to be what we want to achieve. And so the next question we are going to ask then is, how will we make that happen? That's the solution part. And that's where you're going to brainstorm. That's where you're going to get ideas and input from all over, everybody. Technocrat, non-technocrat, the man on the street developing the mountain. You want as much information as you could, right? Because when you brainstorm, every idea is a good idea. Later, you sift that out. But right now, what you need are ideas. Here are some ideas that I am suggesting you might hear. You might hear them say, well, we need to add an additional reservoir, right? Some going to say you need to drill additional wells. Some people are going to say, well, you need to contract a company, right, with a good reputation that knows how to drill for water. Some people are going to say, well, you need to allocate the funds you need to do widespread drilling. Some people are going to say, well, you need to procure adequate equipment as needed. You need also, they're going to say, to pipe water from neighboring sources into Keon to supplement the Keon supply. Example, share Molyneux with Lodge and share Lodge with Keon. Combinations like that. Just make sure that you are not hurting Molyneux in the process and you're not hurting Lodge in the process. Right? Somebody gonna come up and say, hey, why not introduce desalination? Use reverse osmosis. I don't even know that I know what these means. But I mean, people tell me these things. Right? So these are things that you may hear from people. There are going to be additional points. I just gave you the bare minimum. There are going to be a lot of points. And what you need to do now is you need to make sure that all these points make it in one document before you start to eliminate. Right? Here's another one. And this is important. Facilitate a project to put water storage in every household in Keon. Now listen to me here. That should have been the priority taken over putting garbage bin in all of St. Kitts. The government, instead of going out and spending all that money, 6 million or more, I understand, on putting garbage bin in front of every household, when there was really no need for it. Nobody was clamoring, asking for it. But everybody, if they miss their water, they would know. And so what government should have done is government should have had a project that put these water storages in every household in St. Kitts. All right? That would have been a nifty project. But guess what? They knew that suggestion, you know. The project that I told you that Eugene had asked me to do for him, the Housing and Human Settlement Policy, that was one of the recommendations. At least the recommendation was that every house that was built on the NHC from there on out was supposed to include water storage. They knew about it. And the same man still gone and buy one load of garbage bins rather than provide water storage. Even if he said, let me use Keon as a pilot project. He did nothing. The garbage bin project was a solution in search of a problem. There was no need for it. At least not at that time. And so what I want you to understand is that as a community, even if these guys are not coming to the community, You have got to come together as a community. And you have got to put together a requirement for the community's benefit and take it to the powers that be. And take a page out of the U.S. Congressman's book, John Lewis. Get in the way. Get into good trouble. If it means you have to march up to the water department and do a sit-in, if it means that you have to walk up to the water department and make a whole heap of noise, do what you must do to make sure that they hear you. Not just listen, they got to hear you and make sure that they act. After all, why all this time they want our girls in Keon not to have money to wash their, whatever that is, right? And the fellas got to walk around maybe not smelling as good as they want to. And people can't wash their clothes. People can do all kind of things because it takes water to make those things happen. Not in this day and age. You need a solution. You need the solution now. But in the meantime, you need to know what the solution is likely to be and the timetable. At a minimum, that's what you need to know. So here I am. I'm telling you how to become a community activist, at least on this issue. And it has nothing at this point in time to do with politics. Except that you ain't going to vote for a dud. You ain't going to vote for somebody who does not intend to look after you. So I guess I'm in a lie. It turned out to be political after all. I'll take a pause and then we'll come back.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. Great perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. I'm gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis.
And I'm Dijon Webb.
Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
From local
Check the area code, me area code. Anywhere me go, you know me touch the
To International.
Ay, I go shopping, want it, then I cop it. Ay, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
And have you informed with a range of topics.
So on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Back Chat.
Ready or not, you're my crew.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One is you I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, fork it up. Make country produce in it, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who forking up me country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. Now, I had said, that me not talk about no married things no more, But whenever I see things going sideways, I tend to want to say something, Now, with Marriott seems that it wants to collude with the government or vice versa to avoid paying severance to the employees. Now, some people are trying to tell me, who say that money was put in the severance fund for the employees? But that's a whole heap of nonsense. By law, every employer has to put in 1%, and every employee has to put in 1% into the severance fund. It is paid in to the Social Security only for safekeeping. It belongs to the government. But for years, more money has been coming out of the severance fund than has been going in. There are years when, in the last 5 years, the severance fund had negative $8 million. And we know that people had, on previous occasions, gotten severance who used to work for Marriott. So how are you going to tell me now that Marriott never used to put in and take out? That don't make no sense. We also know that there were persons who got the long service gratuity from Marriott. That is paid out of the severance fund. So we know that money has been going into the severance fund. The issue, in my estimation, is that it's going to take somewhere in the region of $20 million to pay out the severance over at Marriott. About $20 million. That is what the government ain't want to pay. You see, the government says it's putting in $12 million in the severance as part of the stimulus package. But guess what? Coming into 2020, there was a negative balance in the severance fund. And so when you put in $12 million, it ain't really $12 million, because you had to make up the deficit. And then you have to come up with an X amount of money to pay the people from Marriott. So the government playing tricks. But I am telling you, and I'm going to show you later, the government got the money to pay. A bad mind. The government has the money to pay. Me ain't talking about later. Me talk about now. You understand? Let me look at this, because I looked at what happens usually when persons are made redundant and when persons are to be paid severance, right? This is what happens normally, and I'm considering what happens in another large company in St. Kitts. One, quite frankly, that I think employs maybe more people than thing. Oh, by the way, government workers don't get severance, at least as best as I know. I'll come back to that in a little bit. Here's what happens. When the decision to make somebody redundant is arrived at, right? It means that you're supposed to get severance, right? The organization, which in this case would be Marriott, would alert or communicate with the Labor Department. Tell them, hey, look, such and such is the case. Thing. In Marriott's instance, what Marriott did was it sent a letter to its employees, which means it would have also alerted the Labor Department that these guys are going to be laid off for 12 weeks. Now, beyond 12 weeks, if you are not taking these people back, then they automatically qualify for severance. All right? Now, so here's what these companies in St. Kitts would advise and would do. They would alert the Labor Department. Then they would send a letter to the employee informing the employee that he or she is being made redundant and as such would qualify for severance. Right? You would ask the employee to take the letter to the Labor Department. Now, the Marriott employees ain't get that letter. And they were told they was going to get the letter, but they ain't get that letter. They get the first letter that says that they are laid off. They haven't gotten the letter to take to the Labor Department. It would appear that they sent information on each employee to the Labor Department, but neglected to send that same information to the employees they should have. All right? Because that letter, the employee would take that letter and it would have in the name of the employee the reason for the redundancy or for severance to be paid, right? And that the company support that, right? And whatever other information is required to be in that letter about the employee, right? Because certain things must be known. It has to know when the employee was employed and when the action is taken. Because if you are there less than a year, you're not going to get severance. So information has to be known about your length of service. All right? Then what's going to happen? You're going to ask the employee to, after he goes to the Labor Department, to return the claim form. Because that claim form is supposed to have on a space for the employer to fill out information. There is an employer selection, an employer section that should be filled out, right? And then the employee will take it back to the Labor Department, and the Labor Department will calculate and it's the severance amount and fill in all the information, and the employee would take that claim form normally back to the employer for his or her own files, all right, or for the company's file. I am getting the impression that people are making this particular situation a lot more difficult than it should be. All right. Now, I know that a lot of you for the 3 months that you were laid off, you still had your insurance. You should have taken advantage of that insurance, and go and get your medical checkup and go and get your eyes done, your teeth done, and all that. I hope that many of you did. Because now, after the 3 months, when they paid that for you, when you were still covered, I don't think you're covered now. I don't think you're covered now. From day one, I told you all to get expert advice and be guided accordingly. Seems as if some of you love your government so much that you would make sure that you yourself are not taken care of. If that's the case, I got no problem, right? But for the innocent, I want you to understand that you got to pay attention. Now, I noticed they say you all must come up someplace to apply for severance and all kind of stuff. You understand? And I noticed they applied a deadline. What deadline? They can't give you no deadline. But here is what I am telling you. You need to move expeditiously to get your documents done and to be ready to collect your severance on time. The longer you wait, you may argue that the longer it would take. But don't let them cover you. Are you money? The government got it. Let the government pay it. You understand what I'm saying? This time, that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. I'm going to just sit back and let all you do what you all need to do. And take a break now, and then we'll come back.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamonds and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. Great perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Keon Street.
Ready or not, hear my clothes, can't hide. Gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis.
And I'm Dijon Webb.
Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
From local
Check the area code, direct the area code. Anywhere we go, you know me touch the
To international,
Ay, I go shopping, want it then I cop it. Ay, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
and have you informed with a range of topics.
tell me nothing.
so on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
Tell me nothing.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
Ready or not, you're my crew.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle, and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, fork it up. Make country producing it, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who forking up me country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. Y'all remember before the election, a certain profile on Facebook named Andre Liebert was very active. I don't know what they know say about me. I don't know what they know say about my brother Big Lice. I don't know what they know say about Barcalico. They say Barcalico thief. They say I greedy. You understand? I don't know what they know say about Howie. Those of us who are from Keon, the individual who was attacking us is from Keon. I had heard about it. Somebody had drawn that to my attention. But then later we got confirmation. So when they say, oh, Barcalico thief, I'm going to come back to that, you know. Because Barcalico is a criminal liar. And thief don't look for criminal liar. I'm going to come back to that, you know. But let me continue. So somebody had been telling me, this particular individual from Keon had been feeding information on you. But when I look, the information ain't really amount to nothing. Because they're not really, what are they going to say about me? Very few things you could say about me. And whatever I do in my life, me not afraid to confront it again. Right? Because me not break no laws. So, this youth had been talking about me, and then later he bring Big Lice into it. Alright? And you know how we find out for sure who it was? You see, they had this fella from Keon. And he was saying that he had a girlfriend. Well, me don't know if he had the girlfriend and the girlfriend me know, or if she know me know. But he says his girlfriend. Turns out that same girl liked one of our brothers who's overseas. And so this particular guy from Keon who I'm talking about was upset because he figured that my brother took away his girlfriend. Now, I don't know the details. I don't know if my brother was involved with the girl or not. But he said my brother took away his girlfriend. So one day he wrote in a post attacking me, my brother, me, Big Lice, and my brother in that particular island. My good for nothing but. That's when we realize is who, He let out himself. So now we know for sure that it was he. Now, all this time, he talking these things. People are telling me, but you could tell him this. You could tell him that. You could tell him the talk. I said, but no, I'm not tell him nothing. I'm not tell him nothing. They want me tell him, I tell Ayo, that he and the fat fella up in the office, the prime office, they want me to say that he is the fella boyfriend. But that not my problem, that not my business. Why would I tell you that? Whatever they into, not my business. So me not tell you that them a boyfriend. Me not say it. I could have said it, but me not say it. Right? Now, lo and behold, you hear talk that this same fella may be implicated or is implicated in some major fraud in government, in public office. Watch a thing. They say that there is a case to be investigated where persons in the police credit union were involved in fraud and colluded with persons in the labor department to perpetrate such fraud. And me hear is large sums of money. I hear that 2 people don't get sent home, and here one of them, because they see here one of the wing leaders. Well, why these people believe that just because of their affiliation with persons high up in government, that they could thief government money and get away with it? Why people believe that? Why people believe that just because Lindsay and Janelle look like they get away, that them gonna get away too? You see, I don't tell all you. This kind of behavior, it feeds off of itself. And so we got these people running around, thieving, misappropriating, taking what not theirs. Some people gonna get away, but you might not be that lucky. And that is the situation we're dealing with now. Because I hope he ain't plan to go by Barcoliko for Barcoliko to defend him, you know. He better go by some other lawyer, you know. Sorry, Barcoliko. I'm not sure if I'm going to take him, but right now, I don't have nothing to do with them there. Not a thing to do with them there. That was the wing leader. That was the guy who was leading the attack against you just because you advance in life. Fella no live Kayan for a long time, and me not think he like Kayan people. Right? But you see, he might come to love us now, you know. He might come to love us because he might want us to come support him and come to his rescue. I heard that they were trying to shut it down, you know. But then a certain PS before they left down in Labour may have upset the apple cart. And if that's the case, I love it. And I keep telling her, you know, stay from them, stay far from them. Stay far from them. You might be implicated alongside them. Stay far from them. Because they feel that they're well connected. And I'm going to tell you, under this government here, they have created a climate that encourages people to thief, people to seek easy money. But you're not always going to get away with it. And I pray that they don't get away with it right now. Because the 2 names I hear calling, you know. Me not watch them with a caca, you know. Them 2 names there. Me not watch them with a caca. And so, whatever happen. Me can't help you. And worse, me no want to help you. One down, More to fall down.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamond and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment would spread the word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Deon Street.
Ready or not, hear my code, can't hide. Gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis.
And I'm Dijon Webb.
Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
From local
Check the area code, the area code. Anywhere we go, you know me touch the
to international.
Ayy, I go shopping, want it, then I cop it. Ayy, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
and have you informed with a range of topics.
Tell me nothing.
So on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
Tell me nothing.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
Ready or not, hear my clothes.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle, and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, fork it up. Make country producing it, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who talking up me country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. I'm going to close out now. I know we are a little over time. So you see, I'm inching up to doing maybe an hour and a half or something like that. But let me do an experiment tonight and see how far we get. I'm not going to get to an hour and a half. I'm just going to do a couple more minutes. But I wanted to do a deep dive into how the government works from management of its finances were concerned. But I'm not going to do it tonight. I need some more time to put some numbers together. So I'm going to do that part next week. But I wanted to make this point. You hear the government, especially the Prime Minister, talk a lot about surplus. How much surplus he got and how much this he got and so forth. Alright? Surplus ain't start with him, you know. Surplus ain't start with him. Here's what I'm telling you. From earlier clock back in the day, I used to be telling the powers that be that our debt situation was not good. I like to follow the rules. The prudential debt service requirement, which is the debt to GDP ratio, is about 60%. And so I believe that we should be in and around there. So when we went beyond that under the former administration, I used to fuss. I was right. But by the time the former government realized what was happening, it did an about face. And you got to realize this, Douglas ran up the debt. But then Douglas ran down the debt as well. The debt to GDP ratio had gotten as high as 200%. That's about 140% more than what the prudential requirement is. But by the time Douglas was ready to leave office, he had brought it down to 69%. You know what that did? That meant that the amount of money, more than $100 and something million that we were paying towards debt servicing, we didn't have to pay it anymore. And so there was significant savings. But that was reflected in the surplus. What you didn't know is that in 2011, the overall surplus was $129 million. In 2012, it was $186 million. In 2013, it was $267 million. In 2014, it was $133 million. So we had about 4 years of solid surpluses under Douglas. We had 4 years of solid economic growth under Douglas. Now we changed the government, right? And it's because, people had acquired a funny taste in their mouth by that time. And the former government was unable to make its case, even though its numbers were good. Now you got a fella saying that he's about surpluses. And if I'm not mistaken, even though he budgets for high surpluses, at the end of the day, they don't pan out that way. You know why? Timothy does most of his spending kind of off the books when you're not paying attention, using supplementary warrants, if I'm not mistaken, that's what they call them, right? So he spends all the money in the budget, and then he starts to spend money that ain't in the budget. invariably over the past couple of years, the government has been taking in more money than it has proposed, it has projected. But Tim has been using that up. Before I go tonight, I just want you to look for me at some of the things he was spending on when we weren't looking. This is just 2018 alone. Because in 2018 alone, Tim spent $236 million more than he budgeted, you know. And even though he had a surplus, that was because of the savings that the government had, because our debt service charge had reduced that much and we had not brought down the VAT. You understand? You see, the country could have done with a lower VAT over the last couple of years. Once the debt came down, there wasn't that need for all that money. Unless you are Tim, you're going to find money. You find things to spend your money on. But there are some suspicious things. Because you see, I believe that they tend to spend money just between themselves. And so that does the government no good. If you spread the money out in the country, that is better. But I want you all to tell me, especially them people who working up Ziz. I want you to tell me, because I see here in 2018 that the government spent $677,000 on the refurbishment of the ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation building. Somebody need to tell me, where did that money go in 2018? Tell me what they built. Me no believe they spend no money up Ziz. So who got that money? $677,000 they said they spent on the refurbishment of Ziz. That nearly a whole building. So you tell me, which part that money they went? Also, when you weren't looking, you know, in 2018, they spent $900,000 for payment on night security service at JN France. And the people who got that contract were people who were covering for Tim. It was people who told us about monies and what happened to the monies that was meant for PLP. All of a sudden, they got a contract out there for $900,000. Nobody sent this out for no bids, you know. This was a sweetheart deal. Now I wonder if it's this kind of sweetheart we're talking about. But it was a sweetheart deal. Somebody make some money. When in fact that contract should have gone out for bids. And these weren't people who were in the security field. It was created just for them. And I'm going to tell all you, that is how they've been operating. So I want to come back next week and do a little presentation. You know, you can't get current data. Then I'll give you and I'll tell you. He never give information to ECCB. IMF worse. So by time you realize that certain things are happening is a year to a year and a half later. You understand? But that is where it is. And so I just want you, the people who working up Ziz, I want you to tell me where $677,000 went. send a message to me. I want to know. They had to find additional money for music festival. That's $1 million. They had to find additional money for Sugar Mass, $2 million. I heard a song by Socrates, you know. Socrates said that the allocations for Sugar Mass went from $800,000 to must be 2-point-something million, but hardly any of that end up in the hands of the Calypsonians. Right? Well, Socrates, see it here in black and white. Additional expenses for Sugar Mass 46, $2 million. Now you all know it was a genius who was running Sugar Mass. The brightest fellow around. If he had a budget, and he should have, if he had a plan, and he should have, why the hell he asking for $2 million additional dollars? Where that money they went? Who got it? Well, Calypsonians sure didn't get it. Well, let me stop there. I've talked long enough for tonight, and we'll come back next week, and I'm going to dig into the finances and how the government operates next week. So tune in next week. But in the meantime, have a good evening, you all. Take care.
Change now, things need to rearrange now. Cause if we've never been to school, every year them ride we like mule. Life ain't no game show. I wanna know if they know what it's like. Coming from country, no even young people are crying. Cause the system of IP, this is a cry from the ghetto. The ghetto. Can't believe me, one system I fight with. This is a cry from the ghetto. People are dying, children are hungry. This is a cry from the ghetto. Can't believe me, one system I fight with. Hey, every year me try to talk to them. As election done, you know we can't see them. If them not change, it change. Me and me people now vote again. Me a talk to the dirty beggar them, and the dirty ass promoter them. Me can't believe the whole of them love send me money out the country. All the fight them, I fight them, not fight for you and me. No, all my people are cry cause them can't take no more. This is a cry from the ghetto. People are dying, children are hungry. This is a cry from the ghetto. Can't believe me, one system I fight with. This is a cry from the ghetto. People are dying, children are hungry. This is a cry from the ghetto. Can't believe me, one system I fight with. Some say stop complaining because we vote for that.